I'm not sure. Would you back him at say 12 to 1?
Yes.
Hello and welcome along to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. I'm Joshua Stacey, joined by Andrew Blair-White for episode 3 of the day-by-day Cheltenham Festival previews. Really looking forward to getting stuck in to Stayers Hurdle Day. Looks very, very competitive as always. What will we be hoping at this stage of the festival our luck will have been?
Well, hopefully ahead, because usually I'm brutal on a Thursday, so therefore, fingers crossed that can finish. You know, maybe this year everything can change and maybe I can have a good Thursday.
Possibly.
Looks tricky again, but at the same time, maybe this time round I'm not going to be there on the Thursday and Friday. I'm going to be back in work in the office in London. Maybe new scenery will lead to new fortune.
If you do enjoy the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It takes 2 seconds to do. It's completely free. Just hit the big red button below this video. Ginny's Destiny is favourite for the Turners. Grey Dawning's in there, Facile Vega, Gaelic Warrior, Iroko. Probably American Mike will run, possibly. Fascinating race. The one horse I can't have is the horse at the top, and that's Ginny's Destiny.
Yeah, I can see that. He brings handicap form to the table. It does seem an awful lot of people have put 2 and 2 together with him in Stage Star.
Yeah, I don't see it. I really don't see it. I think Stage Star won a very poor renewal of this. I think Stage Star is a better horse than Ginny's Destiny, and people are simply just saying that because Ginny's Destiny's followed a similar path, which isn't the tried and tested path of a race like this traditionally, other than last year, that he's going to just go and win it again. I don't see it that way personally. I think Grey Dawning will reverse that form from Cheltenham earlier on in the season, where I think Grey Dawning was unlucky. I'd really, really fancy him to reverse that form. And then you've got the 2 Irish horses in there, Facile Vega, who would be stepping up in trip for the first time if he ran. Gaelic Warrior would have to come off the back of a very disappointing run at the Dublin Racing Festival if he ran. Where do you sit with it?
I think I might give a chance to Gaelic Warrior if he did run. I'm not saying he's an absolute certainty to run. I'd say he's very 50-50 at the moment. I just think he's the class horse in the race. I think he's the best, like he's the most talented horse in there. If he was going the other way round, he'd be even money or shorter. If he hadn't run at the Dublin Racing Festival, he would still be even money or shorter for this race. So you're taking that into consideration when you're getting 7 to 2, 4 to 1. Could he get smuggled into the race on the inside by Paul Town? And that would be my hope. If he does run, I think he's maybe the classiest horse.
I think I'd just about side with Facile Vega if he ran. Obviously, the chance with Muir National being out the Arkle that Facile Vega could switch to that race. I hope he doesn't. I think that he will improve for a step up in trip, and I don't think his jumping is good enough for 2 miles, where I do think it could definitely be much more effective over 2.5. The following race is the Pertemps, and this should have been Absolute Notion's day in the sun, but he's not running in the race. Cletus Poulor, his stablemate, is favourite at 6 to 1. Chantry House is short price for a race like this. I don't know how people are backing him. He will not win the Pertemps, I can tell you that. Springwell Bay, I think, a horse who I quite like, who qualified at Musselburgh. He won at Cheltenham over 2.5 earlier on in the season. I thought he was good that day. Then he stepped up in trip, and I do think on heavy ground, I just don't think he was seen to best effect. I think it was soft or better. I think he's got a genuinely massive chance. And 145, I think he's going to make a nice staying chaser in the future. I think 10 to 1's a pretty good price for that as well, and SPW likes him too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he had a very good shout for him for the Pertemps himself. I worry whether he doesn't have many secrets from the handicapper of 145. That being said, he's an unexposed horse still for a horse like him. I feel there's just more mileage there to come, and I think there's an awful lot of these I couldn't have myself. I was quite keen on Cletus Poulor going into his qualifying run, and he ran, I thought, a perfectly respectable race. Don't necessarily want to be winning those qualifiers.
That was over 2.6 as well. Looked like he'd stay all day.
He stays all day. I think the worry with this horse is, does he have the tactical speed? If anything, there's no doubt he'll stay. But he's ran into some nice novices throughout the season. I think as much as this, I reckon, is probably a slight second-hand plan, as for they did have Absolute Notions kind of ready to go, and this horse has had to step in at the last minute. I still think he's got an excellent chance. He's obviously well found in the market, but with right cause.
The Ryanair then is next. Banbridge in there, favourite. Envoi Len, second favourite. Stage Star, Capitano, Conflated. Fildor 10 to 1. I put him up at 33s.
I know, you're just blowing smoke up your own arse, but what's going to be even worse is I'm going to actually blow some smoke up at myself. I think Fildor is going to crack an each way chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't say it. So.
Yeah, but
It's as if you've completely put me away.
No, but I put him up at 33s, and to be honest, I thought he'd have a chance. But that was off the 2 runs this season over 2 miles. I think he's benefit for a step up in trip. But it was probably a bit of a punt. Whether he's now 10 to 1, and would I get stuck into him at 10s? I'm not sure. Would you back him at say 12 to 1?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't think it's a very good race. I think the likelier ground, if it kept drying up, Ambridge obviously has to have a good chance. But I do think he really needs good ground, and the chances of him getting properly good ground is unlikely. Stage Star has to bounce back from a poor display. Not saying he can't, but it's still a hard thing to have to come off the back of. Envoilen's the solid horse, but he is 10. The stats are against him, winning at 10, as is the case with Conflated. Don't think Capadana will run. And then Fildor's there. And I just look at him and go, he's ran 2 lovely races this season, one at Naas, one at Cork, bumped into the probable champion Chase winner at Cork. He looks like he wants to have a step up in trip. He's before.
6, he's improving.
He's 6, he's improving. He's got more kind of scope to improve than some of these. And he's already been to Cheltenham and run well in a Triumph hurdle. So you know he's going to take in those preliminaries. He's always been a very quiet, unassuming horse.
Why don't you think Capadana will run?
Well, maybe he will, but is it then? Are they looking back at the national? Like I don't know what the I don't know what the plan is with that horse. I thought he might be supplemented for the Gold Cup. They don't seem to be thinking they're going to do that now. I don't know. He's just not a horse I'd have great confidence in.
Fair enough.
Doesn't do it for me.
I will be sticking with Fildor, and I hope he just benefits for a step of a trip. I didn't expect him to be 10 to 1 at this stage, to be perfectly honest.
Of the top 3 in the betting, who would you side with?
I would side with Ambridge, probably.
Yeah.
But that has to be on quick enough ground. The following race is then the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle, and with the news of Constitution Hill not running the champion, there's a high chance, we might know by the time this video comes out, that Irish Point has swerved and gone to the champion hurdle, leaving stablemate and ownermate Tiupu at the top of the market. Is Tiupu going to win the Stayers Hurdle?
If Irish Point isn't in there, yeah, I think he is. He's very good fresh. I think he hasn't been beaten since coming off the back of over 60 days or something like that. It's a weird stat, but I think he's 8 from 8.
He needs to be fresh.
So he needs to be fresh. Obviously, you wouldn't mind a little bit of a dig in the ground, but Gordon Henry doesn't seem to think he's as ground dependent as some people might want to make out. He was 3rd in the race last year. I think a lot of people are throwing stones at that performance. It wasn't a bad run.
No.
And to be honest, I think Davy Russell himself would admit he wasn't riding at his best last year. He was just a man that wasn't fit.
If Irish Point doesn't run and Tiupu does, who's the biggest danger? Is it Crambo? Is it Sir Gerhard? Is it Monkfish?
I couldn't really have Crambo around Cheltenham. It doesn't look... I don't think Cheltenham will really suit him. As stupid as it sounds, because I just don't think it really matters who he's running against. Like, it wouldn't surprise me in any way if Paisley Park was in the frame. And, like, finished 2nd or 3rd yet again. He's probably 14, 16 to 1. Yeah. I think there's much worse each way. Well, he ran great in the long walk, great run in the cleave. You know he loves Cheltenham. I thought he might have an each way chance, but no, I think Tiupu takes a lot of beating.
I agree. I'll be with Tiupu as well. The Trusted Trader Plate Handicap Chase then comes next. Creebilly at the top of the market at 4 to 1. Theatre Man 5s. I know you like him.
I have, yeah. I would say now, me and Jake's match bet of Creebilly and Theatre Man was taken with, I think Creebilly at the time was 14 and Theatre Man was 16. They're now 4 to 1 and 5 to 1. They're 2 ransom prices.
They're short enough, aren't they?
They are. I do like Theatre Man. I think he suits this type of race. Strongly run 2-5 will suit him. Ran well behind Ginny's Destiny, as much as you wouldn't like him for returners. It's good handicap form. Creebilly, I can see the angle to a certain extent. I think he doesn't jump well enough. So I'm hoping Theatre Man isn't tripless like Snippy Jake tells me, and instead I go and win this race and I'll win the match bet as well.
I really don't have a fancy in the plate whatsoever, and I might have one close to the time, but nothing sticks out for me at the moment. The Ryanair Mares Novices Hurdle, I think this is possibly the best novice hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. It's brilliant. 3 top class mares, Dysart Enos, the speed, Jay de Grugy has done everything so well, and then Brighter Days Ahead, the horse who Gordon can't stop talking about. Really, really intriguing race. Brighter Days Ahead is 6-4 favourite, Jay de Grugy's 2-1, Dysart Enos is 4s. They're a big price compared to those 3, the rest of the field. Is it a case of pick one and just hope?
I think so. I think people will have who they prefer, probably based off the anti-post positions they're in. One thing I wouldn't agree, I think the 2 Irish mares are very, very good. I think they might outstay Dysart Enos. I'm not saying they'll necessarily outclass her, though I think Fergal's mare, to a certain degree,
Good, yeah.
has been slightly thrown under the bus, just in terms of, there's been so much talk about the other 2, there's been an awful lot kind of a forgotten talk of just actually how good she is.
She's very, very quick.
She is. I worry, though, 2 Mile 1 on the new course.
Does she carry £5 less?
She does. But these 2, Brighter Days Ahead and Jay de Grugy, I see as being 2.5 milers in the future. And whether they'll just sap the stamina out of Dysart Enos. I'm hoping, from a personal point of view, that it is Jay de Grugy. I think Brighter Days Ahead is a huge, huge danger.
Yeah, she's very, very interesting. Gordon Elliott's talking about her as if she's the best horse he's ever trained.
Yeah, I just can't believe how bullish she is. Like,
I suspect she works better than anything in his yard.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. The only thing I'd say, though, is it's very hard to get a line on it, because Willie Mullins is like, he's not being quite as outwardly bullish, but he's being like silently as bullish about Jay de Grugy. Keeps like in all of his interviews, he's there going, "Geez, she works very well."
Proper race this.
Oh, it's quality, because there's actually, like in years gone by, the likes of your Golden Aces, funds would genuinely be 4 or 5 to 1, and they're kind of really any price you want.
I'd be Brighter Days Ahead, but I think I probably had my allegiances set from a long way out. Yeah. I think you probably the same with Jay de Grugy, but I think we both respect the other's horse.
Yeah.
I think that's probably fair.
A gentleman's agreement.
And Dysart Enos, if she was to go and win, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. She's classy, she's got speed, and obviously winning that entry bumper as a horse, a year ago, I don't doubt she's got stamina as well. I just don't think she's possibly as good as the other 2. The final race on the Thursday is the Kim Muir. We love trying to find the winner of this, not particularly successful. In fact, I've had Mount Ida and Milan Native in recent years.
Yeah, I haven't.
No.
I've had Stumptown getting beaten on Nostril Hair.
Do you know who's going to win it this year?
Who's going to win it this
Cool
year?
Survivor's going to win it this year.
Okay.
For Gordon and Jiggers Town. 12 to 1 best price at the moment. I really quite like him.
Okay.
I think this is a horse who, from a long way out, they've had a big race like this in mind.
Yep.
I think he's a stayer.
Yep.
His novice hurdle form was very good. Won a listed race over 3 miles at Cork. Finished 8 lengths behind Hidden Valley Lake in a Grade 3 at Cork. Finished 4 lengths behind Goodland in the Nathaniel Lacey at Devon Racing Festival. Didn't go to plan in the pipe, but did go a 5 to 1 favourite that day, you've got to remember. And was running in Grade 1s and running well as a novice hurdler.
Yeah.
Has run 4 times over fences, exactly what he needed to do. And finished a neck behind Quilixios of a 2-3. That's got a chance in the Arkle. And then just 3 kind of non-existent runs behind Gaelic Warrior, Embassy Gardens and Hartwood. 3 very good horses, but he's been beaten a long way. But I think from a very early stage of the season, Gordon had Handicap in mind. I think he's going to improve to stay. Off 137, he'll get in the race. I really, really like him. I think Cool Survivor will go and win the Kim Muir.
I think that's a very, very good case to be made. 137 is certainly not the end of that horse's ability. And I think they'll have been very happy that in their beginners' chases they kind of luckily bumped into the likes of Gaelic Warrior, bumped into the likes of Embassy Gardens, and were able to play second fiddle without it even looking like they weren't trying.
Harry Swan will be on.
He will be. There's an awful lot to like. I put up Whacker Clan as my last bet on the anti-post series at 16s. He's now around a 10-12 to 1 shot. If he gets in, I think he's got a huge chance as well. It's just maybe a case of whether he gets in or not. he should do 5 of the last 10, 3 of the last 5. He would have gotten in off 131. If he does get in, he's a front runner that jumps well, stays well.
What did you think of his last run?
It was a nice run, I thought. A little pipe opener, 2 mile handicap hurdle around Naas. Exactly what would have done the trick. He actually shaped really quite well. Turning in, I thought he might even have a sniff, but he ended up weakening out of it. I think that will have put him spot on. If he gets in, I think he's got equally as good a chance. Good Time Johnny, horse that's done me an awful lot of good turns in the past. Really likeable horse. Won the Pertemps last year. Couldn't back him with stolen money in this race.
The 2 JP horses at the top?
Hard to know. I know the way you're thinking. He's been having everyone's pants down since that horse made his debut. He's a quality horse off 145. I don't think he has that much in hand. Percival Legalwa got a decent slap, £7 off the handicapper. His jumping has frailties. He is a good horse. One of them will be ridden by Derek O'Connor and will go off Fav. I assume, given they're both with Cromwell, only one of them will run. You'd have to give that horse plenty of respect, but I think between Cool Survivor and Wacker Clan, you've got 2 very good alternatives.
There we go. Fingers crossed we can back the winner of the Kim Muir Cool Survivor for me, Wacker Clan for you.
Best bet of the day?
The best bet of the day on the Thursday is Cool Survivor in the Kim Muir. At 12 to 1 each way.
Jay Groovy from it.
There we go. Cannot wait for the Thursday of the festival. We hope you enjoyed the 3rd video of this little mini series, and we'll see you soon.